All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling something pretty powerful, solar storms.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, we've got this Chinese video we're looking at.
Okay.
They really get into the science behind solar flares and what those risks could mean for all of us. It's kind of freaky, right? I mean, the sun gives us life,
Right.
but it could also take it all away. To break this all down, we've got an expert with us today.
Well, I think what's really fascinating about this video is it shows how we have this like push and pull with the sun.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that it's not just this nice warm thing in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
It can unleash some serious forces that can mess with, well, pretty much all our technology.
Exactly. And it seems like things are getting, well, more intense, right? Like we're going into a time where these risks are higher. So can you tell us a little bit about these solar cycles and why everyone should be paying attention now?
So the sun works on this 11-year cycle.
Okay.
Sometimes it's quiet, not many sunspots.
Other times it's super active, lots of sunspots, solar flares popping off left and right. And guess what? We're heading into one of those active phases right now.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so basically the chances of a solar storm hitting us are going up. And these storms, they don't just happen all at once. They're more like a series of events, each with its own consequences.
Okay, so the video talks about this triple threat when it comes to solar storms.
Right.
Can you walk us through those 3 stages? What exactly happens to us down here on Earth?
Imagine a huge burst of energy coming from the sun.
Okay, got it.
The first thing to hit us is electromagnetic waves. These things travel at the speed of light. We're talking 8 minutes to get here.
Wow, that's fast.
Super fast. And they can mess with communication systems, big time. GPS, satellite TV, even cell phones.
Oh, so that's annoying, but not the end of the world.
Yeah, annoying for sure. But then wave 2 hits and things get more serious.
Okay, what's wave 2? High energy particles. Tiny, but powerful. They take a bit longer to arrive, maybe 15 minutes to an hour. But these things can really damage satellites and spacecraft.
That's bad news for astronauts on the space station.
Definitely. And it doesn't stop there. The third wave is where things get really scary.
Okay, lay it on me. What's the worst of it?
Imagine giant clouds of superheated, electrically charged gas called plasma clouds.
Sounds intense.
They are. Luckily, they're slow, take a day or 2 to reach Earth.
So we have some warning.
Well, yeah, but the impact, way bigger. When these things slam into our magnetic field, they cause a geomagnetic storm.
And that's when things on the ground start going haywire.
Exactly.
Like the power grids.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the power grids and all that.
They can cause massive power outages, even fires. Remember the Carrington event back in 1859?
Vaguely. What was that again?
The biggest solar storm ever recorded. It fried the telegraph system.
Which back then, that was high tech.
It was. So think what something like that would do to our world today, with everything relying on computers and the internet.
Yikes. That's a scary thought.
And it almost happened again in 2012.
Oh, really?
Yep. A Carrington-level storm just missed us.
Whoa. We would have been in big trouble.
We really dodged a bullet there. And, even smaller storms can cause real problems. Remember what happened to those Starlink satellites?
Oh, yeah. Elon Musk wasn't too happy about that, was he?
40 of them. Just gone. Millions of dollars, poof, just from one solar storm. It shows even our newest tech isn't safe.
So we might not get a Carrington-level event every cycle.
True.
But even the smaller ones can wreak havoc on our tech.
Right. Imagine a world with no power, no internet, no way to communicate except yelling across the street.
Like going back to the Stone Age almost.
Kinda, yeah. And this video, it really makes you think, could a big solar storm actually bring down society? We're so dependent on technology. What happens when it's all gone?
It's pretty unsettling. But before we go down that rabbit hole, maybe we should talk about how we can prepare, predict these things. We know about the solar cycles, so wouldn't that give us some time to get ready?
Well, to a point, yes.
Yeah.
Scientists, they watch for sunspots and other signs to figure out when a flare might happen. But it's hard to say exactly when or how strong a storm will be.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then there's the issue of our main early warning system.
Oh, right. The video mentioned that.
NASA's Advanced Composition Explorer Satellite, ACE. It's getting old, running out of fuel.
Not good.
No. It gives us about an hour's warning before a story hits.
Which isn't a lot of time.
Not really, but without it, we'd be clueless.
So it feels like we're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
We don't have great predictions. Our early warning system is on its last legs. And the consequences are potentially catastrophic. It's almost like, are we just rolling the dice with the cosmos?
It does make you realize how vulnerable we are. And it raises some big questions, like, if we can't stop these storms, what can we do to make ourselves more resilient? How do we protect our most important systems?
Good point.
And maybe even more important, how do we as a society get ready for the possibility of, well, a really long blackout?
That's a lot to consider. And it kind of makes you wonder, have other civilizations faced this same threat? Could solar storms explain some of the mysteries we see in, like, ancient cultures that suddenly collapsed?
That's where things get really interesting. The video doesn't go into a ton of detail on that,
Okay.
but it definitely makes you think, what if a civilization thousands of years ago got wiped out by a massive solar storm? All their stuff, their tech, their stories, gone, no trace.
That's a pretty chilling thought.
It is.
Makes you wonder if all those old myths, the ones about gods and fire from the sky, maybe those aren't just stories. Maybe they're memories of past solar storms that
Yeah.
changed history.
It's a cool theory. We always look for explanations here on Earth. But maybe we need to think bigger. Look to the cosmos. It reminds us that no matter how much we try to control things, there are forces out there way more powerful than us.
That's gotten pretty heavy. Before we all get existential dread, maybe we should switch gears and talk about what we can actually do to get ready for these things.
Yeah.
What can we do as individuals? What needs to happen globally to lessen the risk?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? What can we actually do?
Right.
Well, we can't, control the sun,
Obviously.
but we can make ourselves tougher, more resilient. And that starts with really getting how these geomagnetic storms work, the ones that happen when those plasma clouds hit.
We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Right.
Could you maybe break it down a bit more? How do they mess with our power grids and technology? Like, what's the actual science there?
Okay, so picture Earth's magnetic field like a shield, right?
Okay, protecting us.
Exactly, keeping out most of the charged particles the sun's always throwing at us.
Uh-huh.
But then a plasma cloud comes along and boom, it's like a giant hammer hitting that shield.
Oh, wow.
It makes the whole thing shake and warp. And those warps, they create these super strong electrical currents in anything long and conductive on the ground.
So like power lines?
Power lines, pipelines, you name it.
So it's not the storm itself hitting the power lines, but this ripple effect it has on Earth's magnetic field.
You got it. Those currents, they overload the power grid, blow transformers, and that can cause a chain reaction.
Taking down the whole system.
Whole thing could go dark. And it's not just the grid itself. Any wire can become a fire hazard. The ones in our houses, our appliances, even our phones.
It's like a giant EMP.
Pretty much. Everything electronic could suddenly become dangerous. The video really paints this, scary picture of what life would be like if the power went out for a long time.
Yeah, they even challenge viewers to imagine, like, surviving for 2 weeks with no electricity, no fridge, no phone, no way to get around.
Yeah.
That's a pretty intense thought experiment.
For sure. It shows we need to think about two things. First, building stronger infrastructure globally.
Right.
And second, learning to be more self-sufficient. How to start a fire without a lighter, purify water, grow food. Things people used to know how to do, but not so much anymore.
Like, we need to tap back into that old knowledge, the stuff that helped humans survive for centuries before we had electricity.
Exactly.
But individual preparedness is one thing.
Mm.
What about those big picture solutions? Like, how do we protect our crucial systems?
Huh.
Are there any promising ideas out there?
Oh, definitely. Researchers are working on a bunch of things. One cool approach is using superconducting materials in power lines.
How does that help?
They lose way less energy, so the grid's less likely to get overloaded.
Right.
Another idea is microgrids.
What are those?
They're like mini power grids
Okay.
that can work on their own, separate from the main grid.
Oh, so if the big one goes down?
Communities, hospitals, essential places could still have power.
So it's like having a backup generator for a whole town.
Exactly. It's about making the main grid stronger, but also having those local safety nets. That's amazing, right? How this threat of solar storms is pushing us to come up with new ways to get power.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
But what about predicting these things?
Mhm.
Is there any way to get more than an hour's notice?
There's hope. And it comes down to understanding the sun better.
How so?
Scientists are constantly working on these really complex models
Okay.
to track sunspot activity, flares, and where those plasma clouds are headed.
So like space weather forecasting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The goal is to know not just when a storm's coming, but how strong it'll be, how it'll affect us.
And are there like specific new tools that are helping with that?
For sure. We have these amazing new space telescopes and observatories that are giving us the best views of the sun ever.
That's cool.
Like the Solar Orbiter mission,
I've heard of that.
it's sending back super close-up pictures and data, helping us figure out what's going on in the sun's corona and what triggers these storms.
So even though solar storms are this huge threat, they're also pushing us to make these amazing scientific discoveries.
Absolutely. It's like, even when faced with these massive challenges, human curiosity and ingenuity, they find a way to shine through.
That's a great point. Which brings us to another fascinating part of this whole thing. The idea that these storms might have actually played a role in creating life on Earth.
Right.
It's kind of mind-blowing. We've been talking about them as this danger,
Uh-huh.
but now we're saying they might be the reason we exist.
It's a wild thought, isn't it? Some scientists think that way back when, billions of years ago, the bursts of energy from solar flares could have kick-started the whole process of life.
So the same forces that can mess up our technology might also be the reason we're here.
Exactly. It's like this crazy cosmic connection between destruction and creation.
And it makes you think, could these storms be more than just a one-time thing? Could they be like this regular event that shapes how life on Earth evolves?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Could they be like a reset button, wiping the slate clean every so often, giving new life forms a chance to emerge?
It really changes how you think about these solar storms, huh? Not just a threat to us now, but maybe something that's been shaping life on Earth for, well, forever.
Yeah, it's like these events might be messing things up in the short term, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe they're part of this like cosmic cycle driving evolution.
Makes you feel pretty small, you know? We like to think we're in control,
Right.
but maybe we're just along for the ride on this planet at the mercy of forces we can't even imagine.
And those forces, they can be terrifying, sure,
Yeah.
but also amazing. Like, think about the auroras.
Oh, the northern and southern lights, those are caused by solar particles, right?
Exactly. They hit our atmosphere and create these like incredible light shows.
It's a good reminder that even in all the potential chaos, there's still beauty in these solar events.
For sure. The auroras, they're like a visible sign of how the sun affects us. A cosmic ballet, that people have been watching for ages.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we're too focused on the bad stuff, the dangers. Maybe these storms are just like part of a bigger dance, a balance of energy playing out across space.
That's a cool way to think about it. We tend to see things from our own limited human perspective,
Yeah.
but maybe there's this grand cosmic plan, a purpose we don't even get.
So instead of being afraid of these storms, maybe we should be like curious about them, in awe of them, part of our solar system doing its thing.
Exactly. They show us how powerful the universe is, and they remind us that we're connected to all of it. Plus, as we keep exploring space, pushing the limits of what we can do, understanding these solar storms is going to be even more important.
It's not just about surviving anymore.
Right.
It's about learning, becoming better caretakers of our place in the universe.
Yeah.
We need to study these events, figure them out, come up with ways to not only handle the risks, but maybe even use that power to our advantage.
Exactly. Imagine being able to predict them perfectly, protect everything important, maybe even capture the energy of these storms to power our world.
That's a pretty wild thought.
Yeah. A challenge for sure, but imagine the possibilities.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for everyone to think about. What if a major solar storm hit tomorrow? How would you deal with it? What skills would you need? What supplies? Who would you turn to? It's a good exercise, Makes you think about how connected we all are, how strong we can be as humans. Until next time, keep looking up, keep learning, and keep exploring and shoot.